didn't know you had it.
Oh, that's so funny.
It still lives on.
Oh, my goodness, that feels great. That's a legacy.
Yeah, I won't say how many years ago.
I know, all right, don't say it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so I mean, introducing people and then go from there. Yeah, we can do that too. Yeah, that's totally fine. I think just do like the little, like a mini intro and then everyone can go through. That's perfect. Everyone's getting out of class now.
Yeah, I know you said it.
No, anywhere on the panel, do I have enough chairs? One?
You know, first year's intake, right?
Yep, they signed up to come. So I know they're all like trying to,
Yeah, this, well, actually,
they're moving.
yeah, they just finished.
There's
Come
one,
on
come
in.
on in. Hey, Candace.
Oh, girl, well.
You were rushing, right?
I was like, I was getting my run.
Oh, I was gonna be like stand anywhere, wherever you want, you can stand.
So you want that?
And then, so the mic is actually hooked to the live stream, so you won't hear an echo or anything. But just as everyone's talking, just talk into it and it'll pick up so that you two who are actually we can hear.
Well, I'm the first one spoken Saturday night, and she won.
Oh, lucky you.
Oh, while y'all are both here, what is the plan for SAT tomorrow?
Oh,
Yeah, you can walk around. It's, but it's okay. It'll follow you. It's a smart camera, so I'm told. So if you speak, it'll supposedly scoot up. But we're actually trialing this out for that thing. Is okay. Do you want it? Are you sure? I can do it. Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Because I completely wrote that letter. And so, intentionality, yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. It's me. I know most of you. I'm so excited for you all to be here. We are here with our SPA Alumni Panel, and I'm here also with one of our alumnus, Dr. Dice, who's going to introduce and be moderating this panel. So thank you so much for coming. We're going to go through a couple questions, and then we'll leave some room for question and answers for you guys as well.
All right, everybody, welcome. I think this is the first panel discussion for 2023. Yeah, so round of applause to everybody who is here. And let's get started because we have only one hour. All right, so I'm gonna start from my right here, your left. And we have with us Dr. Dawn DeCosta, and she is a Deputy Superintendent in District 5 in the city. And she is 2008 SPA, so she's SPA 2008. And then we have next to her, we have Chow Hoyt. Yeah, and he's a SPA 2011 graduate, and he's the director of high school director of Inwood Academy for Leadership. And so he's the director for high school there in Inwood Academy. Next to him we have Anthony Oda, and he's 2021 SPA, and he's a special education teacher. He's also a team leader, and his school is in Canada. And then we have Nandi Edward, and she's the CEO and lead school founder of Simple VUE. So I'm pronouncing that correctly. She's gonna explain what it is. VUE Academy, and that school is in Georgia.
Supposed to open.
Proposed to open, so it's in the works, so it's in the pipeline, as they would say. Okay, so I'm going to ask each of our panelists to say a little bit more about themselves very quickly, and then we get into the question and answer. And then after I'm finished asking questions, I'm gonna ask you guys if you have any questions for them, follow-up questions. Okay, so let's pass it over. There's a microphone on the table there. Just tell us a little bit more about you, really quickly.
Okay, so again, my name is Dawn DeCosta, and I did graduate 2008 in SPA. I am now the Deputy Superintendent of District 5, which is where you're sitting today, Harlem, Central Harlem. I taught for 15 years in the same district, and I was a principal for 11 years before transitioning into this role.
Hi everyone, my name is Hoyt Choi. I was a 2011 cohort member, and I started teaching in 2003 in the South Bronx in Hunts Point. I taught for 10 years, and then I was, soon after graduating from SPA, I became an assistant principal at another school, at a high school in Morrisania in the South Bronx. Did that for 10 years, and then I am now going into my second year as principal or high school director at Inwood Academy for leadership.
It's like everyone really knows me, but I'm Anthony. I just graduated from the 2021 cohort. Right now, I'm a special education teacher at Greenwich Public Schools. In my current role, I'm a team leader. Last year, I also did a bunch of other things at my school level. I was actually at the district level. I revised the framework for how special education teachers were being evaluated for the entire district. I also, in Connecticut, it's a little bit different. We chair and facilitate PPT meetings. So I was also the PPT chair at my school, as well as I chair and facilitate all of our NCSS planning meetings.
Hi everyone, I'm Nandi Edward, the CEO and lead school founder of the Simple View Academy. View is spelled V-U-E because in French it means to be seen. It's also an acronym that means voice, Ubuntu, and empowerment, because we believe that choice and voice should be at the center of our educational experience, not only student voice, but their family and our community voice. Ubuntu means I am because we are, so I can't be me without you. So that's the interconnected feeling of community, and then empowerment, because we believe that kids can choose whatever pathway they want to succeed and get to the next step. I taught for 3 years in Houston, Texas at Yes Prep Public Schools, moved to New York, became a dean of students over a high school, got my master's here at the Summer Principal Academy, became the middle school assistant principal, hated that job, resigned, moved back home, started the Building Excellence Schools Fellowship, and now I'm on the community co-design, in community co-design, building my school. I'm no longer a part of the fellowship, but building the school on my own with my board and my community. So I'm here as a actual TA. I support Dr. Perkins in the new school design class. And so I did it for last year's cohort and now this cohort. So.
Okay, good. Very good, panelists. And welcome for those people who are online and listening to. Welcome everybody. Okay, so we can start over on this side again really quickly. Let's keep the answers to about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. For the first question, it's easy, very easy. What influenced your decision to become a part of SPA or to apply in the first place? If you can remember, because it's a wide range.
remember. So I had no intention of becoming a principal. I came to SPA because it was convenient and it was in the summertime. And I wanted to move to the highest level of my salary scale. I had absolutely no intention of becoming a principal or anything like that. However, when I experienced SPA, that's when I started to feel like, oh, I can actually do this. And then it sort of inspired my trajectory from there.
Yeah, what inspired me to apply to SPA and come here was because since very early on in my teaching career, like around my third year of teaching career, I really had this grand vision of wanting to start schools in New York City, in the Bronx. And I became very, very passionate about that, but I was in no hurry. And so after teaching for a number of years, I explored different programs where I could explore how to get into leadership. And SPA, when I came upon it, just seemed different. It wasn't the run-of-the-mill. It seemed to not follow the normal programs. It was different. It was creative, and so I really intrigued me, and so I pursued coming here.
All right, and why I chose SPA, I feel like very different experience. I mean, I was already on the higher pay scale for my district, so really, and so I just feel like looking at graduate programs, what really intrigued me about SPA was the new school design and really just the uniqueness of the program. And I just really wanted like an experience and something that like really kind of like challenged my thinking of what leadership was, because I feel like there's a lot of programs out there that kind of like are just cookie cutted, and like I can just get a leadership degree, and I really wanted to like do a program that like changed my thinking and like where I was in my own learning.
I knew about SPA probably like 2 years before I applied because both my best friends went through the program. I think that as they're going through the program, they used to tell me a lot about the readings that they were doing. And I was really intrigued by the collaboration, the readings that they were doing, the collaboration that they had going on, along with each one of them just felt really seen in the program. Like when you think about Columbia and a little Black girl trying to go to Columbia, you're like, whatever, like it's going to be a regular class. But they both said like, I really feel seen in the program, and so that's what made me apply.
Very good. Hold on to it so we can mix it up a little bit. So the other question, I'm going to dive right into it, to the meat of it. So there are certain programs set SPA apart from other leadership programs. What aspects of SPA did you find most valuable in terms of developing your leadership abilities? Because you're starting at school, and this is what it's for, and leading on the edge of innovation and cutting edge experience for both teachers and students and the leader who is trying to serve us.
If I'm honest, I probably did not see or understand the programming or curriculum of SPA until I left. I think when I was going through it, I was like, what are we doing? This is so stupid. I'm so stressed. Like, I hate these people. I never want to talk to them again. Right. Like, all of that. It was so stressed. And then I think it was when I got to my assistant principalship that I was like, I could run circles around my principal. Like the learning that I did and went through and the experiences that I had to go through made me feel like I could take on the world. And so I think it's just the coaching, the empowerment, the level of access that we have to higher level individuals really cultivated my experience that I didn't see when I was in it until I graduated. So I look back on it now like premier program.
Okay. What about you, Anthony?
I feel like I just want to echo everything you just said, but also just like even your class, the first class,
Who is
like,
your?
Dr. Perkins' first class, and how you get up and you're like, you have to talk quick, concise, clear. I feel like that is what I take away every day when I'm like, what I get from my staff or from people. It's like you have to like be able to articulate your ideas in a very succinct way, because it's like people are going to listen to you for like if you're rambling out for like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what really set this experience apart from other programs for me was that it really teaches and taught me how to be a transformational leader as opposed to a transactional leader. A lot of programs I find, and from what I hear, that they teach you how to be, like how to do leader things. Over here, we learn how to be a leader and how to think like a leader, how to perceive, to make decisions, and how to truly lead to transform a place and not just make quick fixes, right? And so I think that's what really set it apart for me.
I would say that the self-awareness practice was unique. And also at the time, I didn't realize how much I would need that. And then becoming a principal, saw how important that was in leading the staff. And in my role now as deputy superintendent, I also see the value of leadership. Like leadership, if you're not relationship building, and if you're not in tune with your own self-awareness and your own emotional intelligence, you're not able to be effective in any way. This is my opinion. But now that I'm observing principles and evaluating them, this is very, very clear to me. So this program was unique in that way. I haven't seen another one like it. And I have not had another experience like it since.
Hold on to the mic. We're going to mix it again. I'm glad you're going down that path, because the next question would be some specific examples. Because we dive into a lot of areas of leadership, and a lot of it is theory based. And when you leave, you have to learn the application out there for somebody. But according to everything that we're hearing, is that SPA get to you, not just your appetite wet, but every part of you, and you're ready, like Nandi said, to just take over a school if a principal is absent, and then you end up getting into the position. So what specific examples can you share about that you were able to apply the skills or the knowledge that you gained from SPA to help you to positively impact the school environment?
So just very specifically, being able to engage in my own self-awareness practice and being able to create a culture where other people can do that too. That was impactful in people being able to be their own problem solvers, etc., so that I was not putting out all the fires on my own. Building a culture of that among students, parents, and teachers is really important. There was also a lot about teaming, teacher teaming, that I felt I was able to use very directly. The case studies, I felt like while I was learning, there was like an encouragement to go and use these things, and then come back and debrief. So I felt everything was very applicable, and I felt like I was learning on the ground with a lot of it.
Thank you. Yes, same.
What comes to mind are decision-making models, case studies, and
It's so like Dr. Perkins all over again.
I can't remember. Is that all from your course?
Everybody remember
Yes.
Okay. I also remember doing like various protocols, like practicing different protocols for different scenarios, right, and situations. Like all those three things really come to mind because when after having been a teacher for so long, before becoming a building leader, you have a certain angle of view, right? You know what you know, you don't know what you don't know, and doing those case studies kind of like just blows that up, right? Like you have to now consider all these things at a much more macro level that you haven't had to previously. So that really challenged my thinking, as well as the decision-making models. Like I was just telling Anthony before, I just met him over there, and then there are moments when I first became an assistant principal where those kind of the things that I picked up along doing the decision-making will creep into your mind and informs you as you go along. It slows you down actually, which is good, right? Because you don't want to be making decisions in response to something in haste, right? So it allows you to slow down and consider those things, and so those things come to mind.
Echo exactly what you said, but also like I think about like decision making, but also like who can you leverage in your school community to like make your decisions meaningful to like what you're trying to achieve. I think that's really what I take away from like my experience.
So Nandi, I'm gonna ask you another question because you kind of answered that one earlier with the decision making. Do you think SPA is good at networking with even alumni groups, and how? Do you think it's a tricky question?
So what I hear you asking me is, does the program bring in stakeholders to the learning environment that we as students are able to network with?
Yes, and even alumni groups.
Yeah.
And everybody, is it? Yeah, because I want people, even online and so on, understand the value of the program outside of, because I'm trying in my head to compare it with other programs to say, you just get this piece of paper, now what?
Oh yeah, no.
Are we gonna support you? Are we linking you with other people out there?
Yeah.
Is it good at networking?
Yes, I
And
would.
how?
Yes, I would say. I think it really depends on how strong of a relationship you build with your professors. Because I know at this moment I could go to any professor I had as I'm building my school and say, hey, I'm having this concern or I have this thought. What do you think about it? Like I'm about to call Joe and be like, hey, can we go through my first year budget? Because baby, that thing is tight. And so I do think, and I think just in general, we're on the campus of Columbia University, right? Like there are people walking these hallways that have established research, have put on forums, webinars, world renowned, that you could just go knock on their door and talk to them. So yeah, I think the opportunity is there. I just think you have to seize it.
Yeah. I'll pass it down all the way here because I want to talk to the deputy superintendent here. Same question. How is the networking with you? Because you're as a deputy soon to be superintendent, I hope.
Oh my goodness.
I'm speaking to be. Yes.
Well, I would agree that we were exposed to many people that were out in the field throughout. I also agree that being at Columbia, being at Teachers College is such a benefit because we are seeing scholars in their work, in their prime. These are active scholars working in the field that we respect. I enjoyed the time so greatly that I came back again. So SPA was my second master's, and then I came back here for my doctorate. And it was many of the same professors. And I so loved the experience in SPA and was seeking that, that learning, that I came back again. And the people that we see are the people that we cite in our papers, the people that we write about. And so it is, monumental to be in the presence of people of real scholarship.
Okay.
And so, yes.
All right, so let's start with you this time, okay, as a director of a high school. And so my question is surrounding this idea of communication and family and students and so on. What are some of the skills that you learned here that you apply in that area of communication with stakeholders in general?
I think I'll go back to some of the case studies that we've learned. You don't, right after you graduate, because the program while you're here is so intense and you do so much in a short amount of time. You leave, you don't remember all the details, but you remember some of the way you thought about things, right? And when it comes to communication with families, there are so many different kinds of, everybody sitting in this room have experienced such a variety of scenarios and circumstances with families and communication. At the school leadership level, just the amount of information that you need to learn fast and to be able to activate, it's just not always a very clean, like I'm communicating with the family and that's it. Because then you activate, in DOE parent coordinator, at my school, we have a family and community engagement coordinator. And so you bring together resources to wrap around that situation. And so my initial communication to families can be the initial touch and get the communication out, really put the families at ease, make them really feel like they're supported. And then I can wrap them around with practical follow-up steps that actually turns into real actions, right? And so things like that.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing?
Yes. Anthony. Yeah, go on. No, you can.
Okay. One thing that I think that we learned, I'm gonna say it's more intense now, is this community, or making sure that the schools that we're forming is based on the community in which you want to serve. And so I think as I've been founding my school, I've found so much affirmation in my thoughts through talking with community about what I'm trying to do, and learning that as we were developing our school design and how impactful that would be, has really turned my mindset around the value of community voice at the table when building a school, especially a charter school that doesn't have a lot of funding. So you need community to be around you. So that has really centered my practice because of this program.
Good. And so Anthony, give us your spin on it in terms of the special ed, because I'm glad you're here with special ed experience. So how is that contributing to your ability to communicate?
What do we, like in terms of like how I communicate with my families for special education? And like really like the bigger picture of like how we're like working together in partnership.
Yeah, and you're a team lead too. Yeah, for those things.
So I feel like it's a very like complicated question. It's like it's so individualized to the parents' need, like the needs of the family, right? And I always like think about like shareholders and like community, in the sense of like how can I work together and partner with my families to ensure that like all sides are being heard and that we're moving together in like a cohesive unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Diversity. Okay. All right. So let's. You want a stretch break? You ready again?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good. We don't want to stress you out and you don't come back. Okay. All right. Let's talk about personal development now. So that was professional, community school, and so on. On a personal level, in terms of your personal development, SPA offered some level of personal development to us. What are those like in terms of being here in SPA with a 2 intensive 5-week weeks over to a year, 14 months roughly. So what is that like, the personal development that is offered? Who would like to go first?
I would love to go first.
Yeah, go on, yes.
Okay. Ooh, I learned so much about myself. I think year one, I learned who I wanted to show up as, like what leader I wanted to be. And I think in year two, I learned how to be that leader with other people. I think a lot of the times we get into this program, we feel like we could take on the world, so we start applying for leadership roles. But a lot of times you're walking onto a team that's already formed, and you have to like figure out how to be a part of that team or manage that team. And NSD really puts you in a sticky situation where you have a bunch of ideas on the table, and how do you navigate that? How do you come up with a complete product where like you didn't pull nobody's hair out at the end? I learned so much about like self-awareness and like what it meant to take a step back and listen to others, and like you don't have to do it all, you ain't got to be Superwoman, and what it meant to be supported by a team and a community in my second year here. So I learned a lot about myself. I also think I have a special little place, and I got to work with Dr. Perkins directly, and that man told me a lot about myself. The feedback was real. So I think like just having like really strong professors that like really feed into who you are and help you nurture into the leader you want to be has been really helpful to my development.
Yeah, that's very good. Who else would like to go? This one is an optional one. We do need to hear your voice.
Okay. So also I feel like I learned a lot about myself in terms of my own ability to delegate, ability to work with others, and ability to collaborate. I have always been a person that kind of works in a silo. I'm very happy to do that, right? But it taught me how to effectively collaborate, how to listen to others, how to receive the ideas of others. And so that was very helpful in leadership. And then the self-awareness piece was so important because of the level of stress that you can experience as a principal. It's a very isolated position. And so learning how to have a practice where you'll be able to manage through stress, but also nurture others. So that was something that I felt like I learned that I've kept to this day.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk to the reason I ask this question is because it's a lot of personal development experience we get here at SPA, including the 360 feedback and also the strength finders. With Dr. Perkins. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. For me, some of the personal development that I experienced here, and I echo some of the things that were spoken about in terms of like learning how to work with other people. So many people that come to SPA are at their schools like the it person. You know what I mean? Like you wear a lot of hats. You are the go-to. And you take care of things, right? And then you come to SPA and you're around everybody who is the it person at their school, and in a lot of ways, learning how to work with other people who are super talented to form a school, like that was a very, very interesting process and a learning process. The other thing that comes to my mind was some of our very, very intense conversations about diversity and equity. Being an Asian American person, having worked in the South Bronx where nobody else looks like me, and navigating that world on my own, right? Because I didn't have too many people who I could really relate with during that time. Coming here and then and getting to hear everybody's perspective, my perspectives being challenged, and being able to challenge other people's perspectives, it really began to solidify, why I do what I do, and like where I fit in this story and this journey, and the amazing work that we all do. And so that was part of my personal development.
All right, good. So before I dive in again, is there anyone who, if you have a question you want to ask at this time? No question? Anybody want to make a tiny little comment? Oh, good, yes. Wait. Bring the microphone to him. Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is for anyone on the panel. What was the first year like after you finished SPA? did you get your certification in that year after, or did you do it during the program? And what did it feel like navigating that space, knowing that a lot of school systems would probably want to pick someone who is already certified and who already had experience?
I think I'm probably the best person to answer that, since that's what I've really experienced this whole entire year. So I got certified immediately. I took my testing and got my certification as soon as I possibly could. And it's been challenging navigating, like going from the classroom to a leadership role, because it's like, yes, you get a lot of experiences here and in your internship, but the experiences sometimes don't align with like what districts want in terms of leadership roles. So it's like my last year, I really leveraged like asking like my upper leadership, like what are the unique characteristics that they are looking for in candidates, and how can I give myself like those opportunities to get like to have that on my resume or on my experiences to leverage a position.
I remember like during, so I got my license, SBL license, I think near the time when we were graduating, but just before that. So I did start to interview. What the feeling that I remember is a lot of people in my cohort like getting jobs. You know, it was like senior year and people were getting accepted to colleges, you know, and you're still like waiting to hear, you know, like there was that bit of a pressure that I think I put on myself a little bit. And so I did start to apply for different positions all over the city. And then I was telling Anthony again, like you go to these, you know, these interviews where they already have an intended candidate, but they need to go through the C30 process, right? So you're there. And it was, you know, so it was that knowing that, fully understanding that, going into the meetings, a little bit disheartening. However, it was a great learning experience, and I do think I made some of the decisions harder for some of the schools. Actually coming out of that, I ended up being able to get an assistant principal position at the school that I was already working at, but that's not something that I had predicted. And so it ended up working out. But I do remember feeling that pressure and like kind of beating myself a little bit, you know, because people who were even younger than me were already like starting schools and becoming principals and being promoted in their organization and what have you. And that was quite stressful.
Okay. All right, so thank you very much. Anybody else want to say speak to that? No, nobody. Nadia's like, let's go. Okay. So let's see.
He has a little.
Oh yeah, just a tiny bit.
I also just like even adding to that pressure. I feel like I've been on so many interviews, and I feel like I just really just wanted a leadership role, and I really feel like I'm in this process of thinking like, what's the perfect leadership role for myself, and thinking about like how can I add to a community and not just be in a position for a community.
Wow.
So I've been like asking like questions in interviews of like, am I the right fit for this school? And then it's like you're consciously thinking about like, oh, like is another opportunity going to come up? Or am I going to be like, is there another interview about to come up? But I feel like I'm thinking about like myself and like what can I add to a building or to a district that's like meaningful and not just a space.
You said that.
You said it all, I think. Okay. So the final question, and you probably know what I'm going to ask is for the final question. So you have potential students, learners online, and so on, and people who are sitting here now, they have other people who are considering SPA. What is one thing you would say be aware of in SPA, you know, because it's challenging and it's intense, and then the recommendation to become a part of SPA. So one challenge, and then to influence people to say, yeah, you need to be here.
So the first thing I would say is be a learner. Be aware that you don't know everything. As popular and wonderful as you may be in your school community, there is a lot to learn. Be humble about that. So that's the challenge. And the other part is, again, that I have not had a learning experience like this anywhere else. And when I talk to other people who have gone through other principal academies or other doctoral programs, the learning I mean, I could be biased, but the learning just does not sound as rich, to be honest with you, as long lasting, and impactful as the one that I've had here.
Took the words right out of my mouth, actually. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to come into the program with humility. We're not coming together to prove anything to anybody here. We're coming here to learn. And when we don't come, I think it's hard to learn when we're trying to prove ourselves, or we don't come with the mentality to learn, right? So all the great things that you can pick up could be lost, right? And the opportunity to learn from one another, from your peers, can be lost. And so, yeah, being humble, I think, is really, really important. I think I said it before, truly, I think SPA helps you to think and see the world and the school and the community that you serve as a transformational leader. It's very easy to become transactional. It's actually very tempting. I think it's easier. But to be transformational, it's a paradigm shift. It's and it's